what can we learn from single whip? The first thing I'm going to demonstrate is how we lift the body up when we use flexion of the hip. You'll mostly hear from everybody out there that we have to always be pushing with our glutes. The glutes are what extend the hip behind us. So most people think of pushing with the glutes in order to lift the body up, or even when we're walking, you'll see videos telling you to make sure you're squeezing your glutes or pushing your glutes to make yourself move forward. But I think that is a mistaken view of how the movements are working, because people are not thinking about how the whole core is interacting. They're only thinking about the legs. So they assume if you're going forward and your legs going backwards, that must be glute activity. But all of our movements are in fact not just coming from the legs, they're being guided by all three elements of the core in combination. And only by looking at all three elements can you really understand what's going on in any particular movement. So from single whip, we have our core aligned with torsional rotation on the left side, meaning I'm turning clockwise with the upper torso, counterclockwise with the lower torso. In order to stand up, I'm going to use the core technique of lift. That's the walking code core technique. In Tai Chi, that corresponds to the 8 energy posture of press. So I'm going to use press from this position to stand up by flexing my left hip. And you can practice this nice and slowly. Pull yourself up by flexing your left hip. So I'm not raising the body by pushing against the ground. I'm raising the body by pulling. I'm going to take a look down here at what's going on so you can understand what's happening a little bit better. What's happening is I'm flexing my hip this way, so it's actually doing this sort of action, and at the same time I'm already engaging the lower abs on this side, which are tucking the pelvis this way. The combination of the forward flexion and then the tucking of the pelvis with the lower abs keeps the body vertical and triggers extension of the left knee. So I'm able to pull myself up by flexing the left hip. I'm not pushing down against the ground. So this, if I'm turning this way, is now the technique of press in Tai Chi or lift in the walking code. This is the same technique that we use to lift the body forward in a step. And so we can learn this here. If I am in single whip, what I'm going to do is take my right hip from extension and I'm going to flex it, pulling the right leg forward and releasing it from the ground. It should release very naturally because the root is controlled by the lower abdominal muscle rotation, so my right leg was not rooted to the ground. So as soon as I flex the hip, I pull forward. Now I can do the same lifting action that I did earlier, and it's going to lift the body forward. So that is how we're going to take a normal step. Practice this. Get in your position of single whip, extending the right hip. Now flex your right hip. That's going to allow your weight to shift forward. Now we are in the Tai Chi technique of split, or the walking code technique of set. From here, we're going to use our hip flexion to pull the body forward the same way that earlier you saw it pull the body up. The left knee is going to extend, left ankle is going to dorsiflex, continued torsional rotation on my left, and it's going to pull the body forward, and then I can begin walk with very good posture and very low impact on the joints.